Good morning, good afternoon, good evening across the country, around the world. Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. And we're out here at the start menu because I kind of wanted to show off one of the mods I've gotten, which is the stock visual enhancements, part of the EVE, environmental visual enhancements. Adds clouds, volumetric clouds. There should be some Aurora Borealis up here. And before we jump into the game right now, we're going to talk about the mods I have installed. I'm going to Alt-Tab back to CCAN, which I don't believe is going to show up on this screen. If it does, well, then that's a happy coincidence. I don't think it will. And it actually didn't. When I recorded that the first time, it actually cut from what I just said to back into the game again. And I talked about this for about 2 minutes, not looking at Kerbal Space Program on the screen. So yeah, it did weird things. Anywho, we're going to talk about it now, post-production a little bit. These are the, 10 or 11 mods I have installed, plus one more. Better burn time. It gives little indicators toward the bottom of the screen that is accurate depictions of your burn times. It takes into account the engine and whatnot. It also gives you a little countdown for when to burn. Community resource pack. That's, some resources. I think other things besides just ore. Deep Magic Orbital Science. I don't know why that one's highlighted. It just was highlighted when I took the snapshot of the screen. That's a bunch of other science parts. We're going to go into those in just a minute or two. They're really cool. There are a lot of cool experiments that I think is sadly missing from stock Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Alarm Clock. Next one down. That helps you for timing, for transfer windows. Once you have interplanetary flights going on, it's good to have Kerbal Alarm Clock because you can keep track of multiple things. But Kerbal Corp Science Instruments, that's a couple experiments I haven't actually tried yet. We try them here in this episode that I record after this, and they're okay. I don't understand them yet, but they're okay. Module Manager, that's a behind-the-scenes thing that lets all these modules work together so there aren't any conflicts. Allows it to modify the KSP configs without conflicts. Planet Shine on the default configuration. I've been using that already. That helps enhance the background ambiance, I suppose. The vacuum lights. You can see things better. ScanSat lets you put satellites in orbit and actually scan the entirety of a planet. Gives you lots of information on the biomes, on the altimeter, things like that. And it helps you plan where to do landings. It'll help you find anomalies, and it actually gets you science just for scanning it. Stock visual enhancement on the sun flare. That's the clouds and whatnot, like you saw at the beginning there. And then it gives a nice little, like sun flare to the sun when you're looking at it. And universal storage. That's used partly, not that I do, that's used partly for life support storage and whatnot. But I don't use that. I use this with D-Magic Orbital Science. His is made, D-Magic's is made in two formats, where it's the kind of like the regular Kerbal ones, where it's the pieces that you clamp onto the side of the ship or onto a strut or whatever. The other version is in little bitty storage pieces. We'll see those, I think, in an episode or two. But they're neat because they're a little more compact, a little sleeker, instead of just these random boxy things stuck on the side of a ship. The other one that I have that is not listed here because it's not updated yet, but it still works. I've tested it and it still works, and we'll see that later, is the stock alike station parts. It gives you more 2.5 meter parts that are longer, taller, whatnot, and a couple of parts that are actually 3.5 that are cool, like giant cupolas, giant observation things. Lots of options with that honestly for me enhances space station building. All right, that's it for the mods that I'm running for now. Maybe MechJeb when that comes back, because it's kind of nice to have that. I've been spoiled with that with that in the past. But for now, this is what I've got running, and we'll take it back to past me back at the loading screen. Anywho, we're going to jump in to the game. I'm actually going to build something that's going to do a ScanSat and show off a bunch of the new science pieces I got from D-Magic and whatnot. I'll see you on the launch pad with that in just a few minutes. Alright, we're on the pad. I've put together a satellite with a whole bunch of science inside. We're going to show off all of that. That's tucked away inside the fairing, so we'll get to see that, at the kind of toward the end there. But for now, we're going to launch. Stability assist on. I just test fired this. It's way overpowered. Launch and release. It's a little underpowered, maybe. There we go. Still, that's a good thrust to weight ratio. We're going to go for a polar orbit because, again, this is for a ScanSat. You want to be in a polar orbit because that's just, it works better that way. This is unmanned probes. We do have to watch out for our signal. We should be okay. let's see. We're going to aim for the north. We're just going to go north polar. Get into a polar orbit. We actually want to be a few degrees off polar. So the way to do that is with where we would match the target to the moon, because the moon is on a pretty much equatorial orbit, and then we'll look for the thing we want to be, you know, close to 90 degrees. A little under 90 degrees is actually ideal, a little under or over. That way it'll scan the planet a little faster and a little better. Although we're kind of tipping over a little fast. Not horrible. This should be a decent launch profile, though, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So now we got clouds. It's pretty. And city lights. And the Aurora Borealis up at the north and south poles. That's really cool. I really do like that effect. Clouds are good. Clouds are fun. I really like the clouds. It adds a new look. Oh, yeah, and you can see the clouds here. See how we just passed through a layer of clouds. All right. So we're still blasting to the north. Gosh, we're at like a third of the throttle, which is amazing. We're going to ditch these guys in just a moment. I don't have MacJeb yet. That hasn't been updated yet, so I don't have any idea what's going to, you know, what this... Ooh. Heating effects, really. I don't have any idea what our, like, delta V is. Jeez, we're still accelerating even though I've got it. Okay, wow. We are going to go for a fairly high orbit, but I want to get into orbit first before I do any of that. Let's turn this off. Let's go ahead and flatten you out, though. We're up plenty high. We can flatten it out to just about horizontal. That'll start pushing our orbit up and around. We can circularize. For ScanSat to function correctly and do a good scan and get correct information, etc., you want to be at an altitude of 250 kilometers. I think we're going to aim for, like, I don't know, 150 right now, and then cut it, and then do our circularization burn. Yeah, right now we're still climbing up just a little bit, but not too quickly. Not too terribly quickly. Yeah, this is going to be actually, if this angle were to hold true the whole way through, that'd be a pretty darn good angle for what's it called? For ScanSat to work. You may have noticed a few mods down here below the hash marks. Kerbal alarm clock, lots of features. We can go over that another time, though. ScanSat, this is what we're loading up here. So we can see there's nothing filled in, got no science. But by doing ScanSat with this, we will get that filled in, and we'll get lots of cool information. All right, so that's approaching 150. That's good there. Add a maneuver. Prograde. That shouldn't take too much. There it goes. Oh, stop. That works. I mean, that's going to be close to the altitude we want to be at anyway. 703. It's going to be mostly a prograde burn anyway. In 2 minutes. So this is the better burn time. 13 seconds. What kind of fuel do we have left? Oh, yeah, we have lots of fuel. This part of that better burn time mod is going to give you a kind of a countdown when these tick down when to actually burn. And this is a correct representation of how long the burn is, because that's what this mod does. We're going to quick save. Time warp. Yeah, see how these are ticking down? I blew past it. That's what I get. That's what I get. It's okay. It'll still work out. We can actually get rid of that. Just keep an eye on our orbit. And boop. Since we have lots of delta V left in this stage, let's go ahead and burn. Put us up at about a 250 apoapsis, and then we'll adjust our periapsis to about the same. That'll be plenty there. Quick save that. Warp to there. Same song, second verse. Prograde. Push it up a little higher. And that'll be a good altitude to do ScanSat at. And then we'll pop the fairing and take a look at things, right? Because we still have a lot of fuel in that stage. That's awesome. Okay, but we are at our apoapsis. Rotating around to prograde. What's our power doing? Power's fine. Okay, there are solar panels in there, but they're hidden by the fairing. Once we get this circularized here, we'll be fine. Although since we got a minute or two, well, and set S target 85, 85. That's not a bad. That's not a bad inclination. Might adjust that a little bit, but I'm not worried about that yet. Let's burn, burn, burn. Push this guy up to over 250. There we go, and they should be pretty close to, yeah, within 6 or so knots, or miles. Knots. What game am I playing? Yeah, that should be just fine. So we got him in orbit. We still have some fuel left in this, and I still have a bunch of fuel in that. So, again, quick save. We'll go ahead and pop the fairing and take a look at what we have hidden underneath. Deploy. So first off, we're going to go ahead and extend the antennas just because they're cool looking, and extend the solar panels. We now have the Gigantor solar panels, or the Gigantor XL solar panels, so they're big and beefy and cool looking. So let's see, we're going to make use of the aim camera feature because that's really cool. So up top, I put the stock science pieces that we have so far. We can run them. I don't think anything's going to be worth anything. Observe the mystery goo. Oh, it is a little bit, but nothing to transmit, so no. One we recently unlocked was the seismic accelerometer. Fortunately, nothing to be done because it's meant to be used on a planet, of course. We have the barometer, log pressure, nothing to transmit though. And then the thermometer, log, nothing to transmit. Yeah. So that's the 4 main science experiments we have available right now. I think no, I don't think I've unlocked the other ones yet. These two here, these two colorful ones, are from the M-Curb or something like that. Yeah, a Kerbin sound experiment. Interesting. Sound experiment. Oh, that's not worth anything. No longer able to track anything on the new particle. Okay, well, it's still 21 science. Go ahead and transmit that. What's our power situation like? Oh, still pretty good. Excellent. Is it reset? Yeah, good. And this other one, whoa, ABS. I don't know what that's for. Test alive beep. 1.5. Interesting. 1.5 science. I guess we can transmit that. Yeah. And then these blue and white ones, these are all the D-Magic orbital science pieces, which I really enjoy. I built this obviously onto this truss, and it was kind of a hassle to get some of these guys to match up. Like this big guy, I had to kind of jerry-rig some struts to make him match up. It wanted to hook onto something. I didn't want to put it on top, so I gave a few struts. And yeah, it's not perfect. It's not, correct, quote correct, but it's a thing. So we'll start with these. The magnetometer boom, usable both in space and on the surface. I'm actually going to take a lot of these guys back to the surface and run them on the surface as well. Kerbin's magnetic field spans several planetary radii, protecting its atmosphere from the solar wind and cosmic radiation. Let's transmit that. Excellent. Let's go ahead and close that though. Toggle it. What's this? The multispectral imaging platform. Toggle the imager, and that opens up the kind of fairing for it there. Whoop, all the little instruments pop out. Oh, here, let's aim the camera at that now. Yeah, that's, whoa, too close. So that's neat. Lots of little things to does, some scanning. We'll go ahead and log the data, which is great for 12. UV and IR scans of Kerbin's atmosphere reveal many details about its composition. It consists primarily of oxygen and nitrogen. Awesome. We'll transmit that for 12 science. There's also the multispectral scan. We're going to click that in a moment. Good. I'm not sure what that does. Scan. Okay. Analyze the data. Sensor was installed. So I think it's analyzing. I don't know if it needs to analyze the whole planet. It might. I think it does. So it's got this little beam going out saying it's scanning the planet. So we're going to let that one continue running, and eventually you can come back and analyze it, and you'll get some science. I'm not sure how long it'll take, but it's a thing. Oop, oh, yeah, okay, you're good. The GORSAT log irradiance scan. That's going to stick out a couple sensors down here. Badoop. Kerbin's oceans-covered surface results in a fairly low visible light albedo, and its thick atmosphere absorbs most UV and near IR light. Transmit for 18 science. And this little guy, I never used this before. Dynamic albedo of neutrons. Collect. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. Systems check. And that just kind of lights up. Collect hydrogen data. Surface based. Again, see, I never used that one, so I don't know. The orbital telescope. This one's kind of cool because, oh, here, let's again aim the camera. This one's kind of cool because, log visual observations. Shutter opens, and then you can actually see it's like a telescope. It's really cool. 9. Trees, mountains, rivers. Who knew there was much more to Kerbin than the KSC? Transmit that. These solar particle collectors. Collect solar particles. Boop, boop. And, this one's kind of lame. Oh, I think because it actually collects it, it's a hard piece data. So you don't get that much for transmitting it back. That's okay. We still get some. It's something. So that one's cool. The RPWS antenna. Radio plasma wave something antenna? Oh, radio plasma wave data. Yeah. And those guys stick way out. Well, that's some science there. Auroral chorus radio waves are detected emanating from Kerbin's poles, indicating the presence of geomagnetic storms. Transmit that. Awesome. And then the last one for D-Magic's orbital science is the soil moisture sensor, and it's pretty huge. Again, this is the one that was kind of hard to mount. Right? I got all... Yes. We can toggle the array. It's a pretty big one once it deploys. And it spins. It's kind of neat because it spins like that. And then you collect soil moisture data. From low orbit. Well, we're in a high orbit for ScanSat to work, so that's a pity. But yeah, in low orbit, it'll give you notes about the soil. Alright, so that's it for D-Magic's orbital science, at least what I have unlocked so far. The other ones we have are ScanSat. So the scan multispectral sensor, there's 4 scanners for ScanSat. I've got 2 unlocked so far. But I can start a multispectral scan. All this stuff deploys. If you analyze data, again, there's nothing now, but it's going to do more. Biome data is truly astounding. You just hope this covers... Oh, it's the same message as before. Okay. Cool. That's going to keep adding data. We'll look at the ScanSat map in just a moment. The other one is the radar altimetry sensor. We can start a radar scan. And that guy deploys. Looks like a nice little antenna. It looks like a radar antenna. So that's deployed. So those guys are going to hang out and keep scanning. I think the other one will too. The one of them is going to... Was it this one? Yeah, he's going to keep scanning as well. Analyze? Yeah, nothing yet. Keep good. So for ScanSat, this is the little map. We can go to the big map. So this is going to load up, and it's going to show... Let's close you because you're annoying. It's going to show our ship, ScienceSat. It's showing its orbital path. It's mostly, like I said, up and down. Let's go with a biome scan because they're a little more colorful. There we go. So now we have information about what biomes are where. Southern ice shelf. Water. More water. Interesting. I know there's ways to change the color settings and whatnot, but that's a possibility. Nice thing about ScanSat is you can set a waypoint. You can toggle anomalies. You will eventually find anomalies, and if you want to see anomalies, you can check out my last series. I went to all of them. You can also set a landing target. So that's where we landed before, but I can set one there on the map, and that'll show up on the planet in the map mode. So you can actually say, I want to go to this biome, and you can at least get a rough estimate of where you want to land. Oh yeah, and if you right click, you can even zoom in closer. There's no data there because, well, we're still scanning. But you can send these guys up, they will scan, and you can see it there. We can go ahead and do a little time acceleration. You can see it's following this orbital path. It's going to go where the blue is. The orange is where it just was. Blue is where it's going. And then you click refresh. It'll show you the rest of it. So that'll take a few days for these guys to orbit and scan all of it. There'll be a few dead spots. Maybe if power gets too low. No, power should be all right. You can also choose which slot. Obviously, we've only scanned Kerbin so far, so that's all you can get right now. Oop. Oh. So some places on orbital, there's no probe control. That's interesting. Can I not, is it not scan there? Oh, it didn't. Yeah, when there's no probe control, it does not scan. So there's obviously some blind spots in the orbit, and that's to be expected. We don't have a relay network set up yet. And most of the radio sets are equatorial-ish, or there's going to be some blank spots out on the ocean. So perhaps one of the next missions is to set up some relay antennas, just so that there's always a signal to ScanSat. All right, so that's it for science, for the new, the new science assets. Yeah. So, and again, ScanSat. That's it. After a while, let's see. Badoop. Review the data. Keep it. Analyze the data. Yeah. See, there's still. It's not there yet. It hasn't scanned enough. I think it has to scan up to like 20%, and then it kicks over some science. But once it scans over, over 95%, you can get your 100%, and you can turn that in, and you get a bunch of science. What is this? Science data. Oh, good. That completed a mission. That's some money and some science and some reputation. Awesome. But we've already added some science. Not that there's enough to really do much with. So that's good. All right. Let's quick save and head back to the Kerbal Space Center. I recently did take a contract for a space station, which requires like 12 Kerbals and so much water propellant or so much fuel, something like that. Here, let's check it out. Active. Build an orbital station. In orbit. Antenna, docking port, and can generate power. It's typical. At least 12 Kerbals. Yeah, 1,000 units of water propellant and maintain stability. Fairly simple space station. I've seen some higher requirements, but to build this, I need more science. Let's see, what do we got? Plant a flag on Minmus again. Okay, that's easy. Do that off camera. Station around Minmus. Station around Moon. Satellite in a polar orbit of Duna. We're going to go ahead and take this because we're going to want to be in a polar orbit because we want to do ScanSat at Duna anyway because, again, that's some science. See a rescue, specific orbit of the Moon, rescue, and test it orbiting the Sun. No, that's okay. It's active. Explore Kerbin. Dock 2 vessels on or around Kerbin. Okay, not a big deal. Strut COSAT. Oh, I have one for adjusting. Okay, so we can do that. So yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. For the space station I want to build, we're going to look at some of the parts that we got. Actually, no, I lied. We're going to go into the vehicle assembly building and look at some of the parts that we have. They're mostly like if you take the hitchhiker can and just blow it up, that's what it is. Let's go ahead and just get rid of that. Utility. So it's some of these, there we go, these big guys, or like this guy and this guy, because they're huge, but they look really cool. Oh, it's the same thing. There's one that's a big, I might not have it yet, and this one's really long, but these look like really cool pieces. I really like them. They look like cool pieces, but they also look like stock. I mean, that right there is the stock piece, the hitchhiker can. Oop. Zoom. So I like that these guys are very similar. They're probably copied these textures. They're very similar textures, very similar looks. And a cool thing about these, let's give it something like a cupola. Just because, again, it matches like that. Let's go ahead and put, it's not going to like this. It's going to want Jeb in the cupola. Otherwise, it's going to say, nobody on command. No control. Okay. Anywho, these guys, they all have the in-vehicle view. So let's just take it out to the launch pad because it's cool to look at these. Cool. So that's there, but then we also, come on, the interior overlays. So for some of them, oh yeah, there it goes. So like that's the the what's it called, the hitchhiker can. So you can see in through the windows, and you can see inside, and that looks really cool. There's another one there, into the windows there. Then, of course, you have the cupola, which is, again, the other stock part. So you can see Jeb Adaya in there, ready to go. But then you also have these guys. And for a while, they didn't have good IVAs, but now they're pretty good. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're actually pretty good. It's I mean, you know, a lot of stuff, same pieces from this guy. Maybe not, but they're pretty neat. These ones, the big ones down here, though, look really awesome. Yeah, that's like a giant tank to float around in, which is cool. And then same thing with these guys down here. Giant pieces. Yeah. I mean, these look like space station parts. Like this one down here at the very bottom is probably one of the least decorated ones, but they have tons of space. Oh, you can turn the lights on. That's the other cool part. They light up. So it's really neat to be in space and have a space station that lights up like this. Lights on. Lights on. Do you light up? Ah. Lights on. So it's neat to be in space to have all these things lit up. That's really, really cool. Oh, that turns those off by stock. Okay. Anywho, that's a lot of the stock-alike parts that I got. There's a few that I haven't quite got yet. Let's revert to the vehicle assembly building because that way this won't cost anything. But to get the station to look the way that I want it to look, I don't quite have enough parts. I got the big girders and the Gigantor solar panels, so that can look really cool. I looked at some other station mods, but they look a little too, like I said, a little too human. And there's one that was Russian. It just looks weird. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Anyway, to do the space station the way I want it, I need to upgrade the research place. The pieces I want are here. Well, there's more of the what's it called? The after thing. This Kerbal Max Industries. There's more of these guys here, so they're cool to have. The other one I want. Well, there's a couple other things I want. They're mostly here. The big, the multi-hub point, because that way you can make it go off in six points. The big, is it here? There it is. The giant octo aperture module. It's basically a giant cupola. And is it here? There it is. The docking port senior. So I need the big guy for that. So we got a ways to go. I mean, these cost. Really, that only cost $550? That's cool. Oh, it's the ones further that cost more, but they also require upgrading of the science center. The rest of these are all just big engines, right? Yeah. So, like I said, these two, so it's a total of 300, 550, so 850. Anything else is just gravy. But that's something to get to in the near future. And then we get more science and other things like that too. There's a few other new pieces that you get from ScanSat and DMagic. We'll go over those as they come out. So yeah, that's a lot of briefing for this. I apologize it was not as exciting as some other episodes. I think this is all I'm going to record for today. Like I said, I'm going to drive around and use some of those new sensors like the magnetometer and surface sensors, things like that, and drive around and gather science from the different biomes here. And I think I'm also going to launch ScanSat for, what's it called, for Minmus and Moon. Also, let's see, Kerbal Alarm Clock. We're going to take a real quick look at this guy. I want to add an alarm. I'm on Kerbin, so I don't really have many options. In space, you have more. I don't have a ship selector, so this is all I get. I can set a raw alarm, a transfer window, or a contract time. Transfer window. So, transfer parent is the sun, because we want to be orbiting the sun. Model? Formula. Let's go with all of them. Original, or the transfer origin, Eve Kerbin. We want to launch for Duna. Ooh, that's coming up in 123 days. That's not too bad. That's fairly close. So we're going to click that and add alarm. And now it shows up there. We know we have 123 days left until that transfer window opens up. And Kerbal Alarm Clock is usually pretty good at lining up the transfer window. We'll take a look at things real quick in here. Oh, I got to clean things up. Come on. There we go. There's Kerbin, Minmus, and the Moon. Moho, Eve, and Duna. Yeah, so we're coming up behind Duna with the sun and Kerbin on a flat axis. You want Duna to be about here-ish, kind of straight ahead. That way you launch and you catch up to Duna as it gets around to here-ish, and you intercept. So we'll launch for that at that point when that comes up, because it wants an equatorial, or it wants a polar orbit around Duna, which is going to be perfect for ScanSat. Yes. Okay, let's clean things up a bit, though. I hate the junk. Yes, terminate. Terminate. Yes. These guys, I believe, they are at the Minmus. They're at Minmus, right? They're the two guys that I picked up, right? Yeah, Katvia and Rubik. Rubukis. Yeah, we can get rid of these. Terminate. And the moon lander, we don't need that anymore. It served us well, but it's out of fuel and everything, so we can go ahead and terminate that. Yes. Oh, the science sat, that's the one I just put up there. That's scanning for ScanSat and whatnot. I keep forgetting to rename things. Where is it? Rename vessel. And you are actually a probe. Yes, accept. Awesome. So, like I said, yay for all the new science bits. I'm going to launch a few other ScanSat type, almost like clones of these guys, just because it has the Delta V and whatnot. I might do that because that's easy. To do the science there and get ScanSat going. I think I'll also launch a few, what's it called? A few relay satellites, because I do believe I have relay antennas under my, or at least the bigger relay antennas on research now. So that'll be good because they'll be able to communicate with each other and with all the ground stations. Let's check that out real quick in the vehicle assembly building. Communications. Yes, I have 2 of the relay antennas. This one's bigger. 2, 10, 24. 5, 24, 60, 27, 60. Yeah, so this one's better. Yes, we're currently at a level 2 for the scanning area out here. So that's yeah, okay, good. So we'll build something with this just so that we can get some communication going around Kerbin. Plus, we'll need that. Ooh. We will need that when we launch for Duna. I don't know if I'll be able to launch from it. What are you costing to? A lot. I'm going to spend money to upgrade something. I'm going to do this. That would leave us about 6,000. We're going to wait and get some more science, though. Anywho, that's it for this episode. Like I said, not as dramatic as some others. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, pass the word, and I will catch you later.